So this is the reason I'm on here today is because I wanted to read some more poems. Um, I also just haven't streamed in a while in general, and this seemed like a good opportunity to kind of bring a little bit of the poetry and a little bit of the philosophy together. So we're just going to be reading Ralph Waldo Emerson's poems today. Ralph Waldo Emerson was an American philosopher, poet, Unitarian Universalist preacher, um, who lived in the uh, first half of the 20th century. Um, not the 20th, the 19th century. Oh my God. Um, but Ralph Waldo Emerson is very interesting. I tend to be especially interested in artists and uh, I don't know, people who live lives where they combine art with an idiosyncratic religious vision and also like actually like thinking through the conditions of the world like in a way where they're plugged into what's actually going on in their own time. I actually just finished a book by Vasily, I think it's Vasily, by Vasily Kandinsky, who is also like this. My wallpaper on my computer is actually a Kandinsky painting right now. Um, but Kandinsky is like this in the 20th century, and to a lesser extent, there's people like Salvador Dali, and but anyway, um, Emerson is very special because he sits at the confluences of a bunch of forces from the 19th century that would end up really shaping the 20th century and coming down to us today, in a very interesting way where he's sort of he's bringing together a bunch of streams that are normally kind of held apart. Well, hello, Pizza Dog 55678. Thank you. But he's holding together a bunch of streams that are normally held apart. Um, so I have my little diagram over here, kind of different forces that are kind of swirling around in the head of Ralph Waldo Emerson. We have so just to kind of explain some of these terms and kind of how they fit into the broader picture for people who aren't familiar. Um, German idealism is a philosophical movement that starts with Immanuel Kant in Germany. It includes Kant, Fichte, Schelling, Hegel, and then to a lesser extent, like people who come after this, like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche. Um, but it has to it's philosophy's new turn inward. Um, in the wake of kind of the expanding modern science, the kind of central one of the central ideas of German idealism is this a notion of critique as uh, imminent critique, imminent dialectical critique of phenomena. Um, and taking phenomena to be both I have been listening to Chris Catrone lectures, so I have this shit run into my head over and over. Imminent dialectical critique of phenomena where the phenomena are both um, symptomatic, diagnostic, and prognostic, which is a very fancy way of saying the world, you look at the world how it is, and you don't assume that you know the truth about the world, but you assume that the world is appearances and that the appearances have contradictions in them, and that from those contradictions in the appearances you can figure out what conditions of possibility for those appearances are, and thus figure out how the world could change. Um, and this is sort of where it leads to Marx and Nietzsche. Um, Marx kind of takes things in the materialist direction with like politics and um, the more familiar people are more familiar. There's communism and there's all this stuff, and then Nietzsche has a sort of more existential direction, but it does have political parts, but it's more existential, it's more personal, it has to do with art and inspiration towards the future. But anyway, but this starts with ideas that are in German idealism, and this is a thing that's influencing the thought of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Also, we have Romanticism, which also starts in Germany, but then by it's spread to Britain. So there's figures like Goethe. Goethe. Whenever you read anyone who is a German writer who's writing after the year, I do the stupidest gesticulations. Reading any German writer writing after the year 1800 basically, they're going to bring up Goethe. Goethe. I like saying his stupid name. Every 3 pages, you will get one mention of Goethe. It's like guaranteed. Anyone writing in German, they're obsessed with him. He is like more important than Shakespeare to the Germans. I don't know how to underscore it more. He's like second to Jesus. Um, but and so romanticism is this movement that's the spontaneous. It has to do with nature and the spontaneous overflow of feelings. It's a reaction to the industrial revolution, a turn towards like the inner childhood, irrational beauty. Like it's a reaction against um modern life and rational like scientific thought. So this is another sentiment going in Ralph Waldo Emerson's head. So like German idealism is actually attempting to work with science or kind of provide a philosophical complement to science, although whether it succeeds at that or not is another thing. But romanticism is sort of anti-rationality, right? And then also, way on the other side, I'm moving myself over here for a minute. Oh, we have in in so due to colonialism, understanding the historical context for stuff is so important. You got to learn about history. It's so important. Anyway, so due to colonialism, uh, like average Europeans have become and very aware of the variety of views and understandings of the world and of God and of basically everything. The variety of different ways to understand the world that have come out there. And one of the significant things that happens in the 20th century is that you start having important texts from Indian religion translated into languages that people who speak European languages can understand. So like the Upanishads, which are the last part of the Vedas, which are a very important text to Hindu. They're one of the oldest religious texts, um, and they're from India, and they influence Hinduism, and then sort of people who are influenced by them eventually kind of make also there's a bunch of Indian religion is actually very fascinating. There are a lot of different sects there. But anyway, I just sort of I'm kind of in it's sort of it's a little bit off to call this Neo Vedanta, but it's because that's really sort of anyway. Indian religion put kind of in scare quotes, but like especially like the Upanishads become very important. Um, this way of thinking about a kind of imminent union between there's like an inner self to all things that is like God and also you, like a sort of divine mind that permeates nature. And so this kind of is consonant with romanticism, with this worship of nature, and in turn inward with German idealism. And then also at the same time, Ralph Waldo Emerson is living in America during kind of early American expansion. And so, unlike the Europeans, where there's this kind of dying, the feudal order is kind of all the finally breathing its last, and as capitalism is really starting to get going. Um, and you still have like all the land is taken up either by old landowners or kind of being snatched up by capitalists for the cities, and people are having to move to the cities. In America, you have free real estate. People are going. There's so much land. There's so much land. There's so much nature, um, and it's all you can just go be in the nature. There's so much nature, and there's this prospect for individual. Every man can be his own lord in America. Um, the kind of self-sufficient yeoman farmer is a very important figure in early American thought. And of course, this is all built on the kind of slaughter of natives, and then a lot of the kind of self-sufficient farmers were actually slave owners. But like there's this very particular to America, like um, combining the Enlightenment thought with the material conditions of the kind of prevalence of lands and economic opportunity in America. Uh, Thank you, Pizza Dog. Well, I hope you have a good day too. Um, The thing I'm doing here is very niche, and I'm not trying to get a lot of viewers. I'm trying to say something that's important, and then hope that whoever needs to hear it will be able to find it and use it to, and it'll be helpful for them on their journey. I'm trying to do something very particular here, and I don't fully understand what it is, but I'm gonna keep doing it. If you go to my YouTube channel, I have my previous videos posted. I will tell you that. I think there's a link in my Twitch to my YouTube channel if you want to hear me talk more. Thank you. I well, I don't plan to stop with this. I don't plan to stop in general. I may stop this at some point if I decide that I have exhausted its potential or that I should be doing something else. But oh shit, my mic's falling. I don't have my curse warning on. I need to be careful. Um, Okie dokie. Okie dokie Loki. Let's continue. So we have this American Protestant individualism, and of course, Protestantism is Christianity that's been a more kind of inward Christianity that's been divorced from hierarchy and church and like strict dogmas, and it's intellectual, right? Because you got to read the Bible, you have to form your own opinion about what this stuff means, you know. Um, and so if you look back at the chart, um, all of these streams form stuff that's really important to us today. So from German idealism and romanticism, this sort of creates influences Nietzsche, and then Nietzsche and Marx kind of are super important to anyone who's thinking stuff left wing nowadays, especially like really like far like radical left thinkers. But to some extent, liberals too are sort of awash in the kind of leftovers of this. Um, and then romanticism and the kind of the discovery of Indian religious thought um, ends creates you gotta learn. Okay, if you don't know what the Theosophical Society is and Madame Blavatsky, you should go look them up. You should go look up Theosophy. Theosophy and Madame Blavatsky is one of the most historically significant things that you will never find out unless you know about a friend, unless you like have a friend who is into the occult or something. But it's actually super super important. It's really difficult to express succinctly how much things were influenced um behind the scenes by Theosophy, and not in like a weird um not in like a conspiracy way, but like the Theosophy was like a movement of the cultural and spiritual underground of the Western world, in a way that really led to a lot of more radical movements in and art and philosophy and music and in politics to some extent too. Um, and I traced this here. I used to go from like anyway, um, Kandinsky, who I cited earlier, specifically in the book I was reading, he talks about Madame Blavatsky and Theosophical Society, and um, but anyway, and then this is sort of is connects to what becomes New Age religion is sort of a similar downstream synthesis of these different things, like and also Theosophical Society. But anyway, it's this very complex syncretic religion that brings together streams from um Indian religious thought, but also certain neo-pagan things, sort of. But it's also more important for the things it births, like Aleister Crowley, if you've ever heard of him, is downstream of this. And anyway, but New Age stuff um, is directly connected to all this, and rock music is actually the ties to rock music and New Age religious stuff is something that like people usually think of it as sort of a meme now that the Beatles went to India, like that sort of thing. But it's actually really critically important for what rock music is and why it happened when it happens, and what it means, and it's kind of weird tenuous connection with capitalist ideology is really interesting to note, because this is sort of a confluence that you can see today with corporate Buddhism. Um, but and New Age stuff is especially interesting because I don't know, at least for me, this is an aside, but for me personally, I actually often feel like they're sort of on, they have a lot of the right conclusions about the way the world should be and this sort of ideal component of the world, but they lack material critique. Like you need to like the new age people need to read Marx. They need to like, you know, they need to do their starseed rituals, but also read Marx and also maybe go to Christian church as well. But but whew. Okay, so Ralph Waldo Emerson brings together a lot of these different streams all into one idiosyncratic thing the movement is called American Transcendentalism. That he sort of is the spearhead of. You might have heard of Ralph Waldo Emerson during your like if you're an American, you probably heard about him in high school because he's an important American literary figure, especially because he wrote this essay called Self-Reliance, which is a kind of cornerstone of American kind of rugged, pull yourself up from your bootstraps individualism, except it's not. Like, if you actually, like, this is a thing that it gets kind of grouped in with and remembered as, but it's actually a kind of religious meditation um, on, like, uh, it's the self-reliance, the specific essay, is sort of trying to connect, like, German idealism's concept of, like, the world soul, the Weltgeist, um, their idea of the world soul as like this sort of evolving collective mind of humanity that is in a dialectical relationship with like material conditions, um with the its more kind of religious side, which the German idealists sort of disavow, where it is this kind of actual, like, it is the mind of God in some way, or it's like a correlate to the mind of God in some way, but it also has a correlate in yourself, like the Atman or the Holy Spirit. Um, and he's sort of kind of combining these two things into this idea that like there's a source of energy and life that you can tap into in yourself that is uniquely yours and can only come from you. But that is somehow the same as everyone else's in and like you there's his essays are very, very wonderful. I actually might come and read them on here at some time. He actually says people I feel like he actually should get credit for a lot of the things that Nietzsche did later on. He actually um he's the people Nietzsche is more provocative and kind of uh Nietzsche is more provocative and kind of, you know, his jettisoning his kind of violent jettisoning of everything religious is sort of important for the development of thought and needs to be engaged with. But it's also really, I think part of why Emerson isn't as well remembered, and isn't as well regarded, is because he is attempting to combine this sort of rigorous intellectual, like philosophical piecing apart of the self and the self's relationship to society and the world with this kind of artistic desire to create freedom, but with a genuine kind of religious humility and in a real kind of mysticism, and attempting to sort of rise to the moment with the kind of American capitalist thing. And so, and you know, so he's a so he and importantly, so he's kind of engaging in multiple modes all at once. So he's writing essays, he's writing philosophical essays. He is a unitary, he's a preacher, a Unitarian Universalist preacher, um and uh and he is also, you know, he's making poems, and then he's also doing political activism. So he's kind of engaging in multiple modes all at once. And this is really, really significant because a lot of people who are philosophers or artists uh will get trapped. They will kind of restrict their, you know, it's this kind of irony where philosophers and often artists kind of make work that is about the kind of tragedy of their own pursuit, where like art can only do so much, philosophy has its limits, thought can't go outside of itself, and then that's all they do. That's all they do. You read about the lives of, I don't know, someone like anyway, I'm not. I shouldn't get ad hominem with it. But you should read the lives of some of the philosophers you read about sometimes. Read about the life of Nietzsche or Deleuze, and it's very curious the difference between what they wrote and how they lived. not to get too Freudian with it. All right. This was too long of an intro. I think okay. I'm gonna pause for just like 2 sec. I'm gonna pause for 2 seconds. I need to let my cat out of the room. I think she's upset that she's been stuck in here this long. Okay. Now, with all that said, we're just gonna read Emerson's poems. Like that's what the rest of the stream's gonna be about. And a lot of these are ones I haven't read. Why am I doing it this way? I don't know. This is how I tend to do things on my stream. I kind of cherish the I cherish the spontaneity of it all. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Oh, is it gonna? Yes, it is. That's gonna completely ruin it. Okay. Okay. I guess that's it. I guess we're ready to go. I'm just gonna read these cold. I'm warmed up talking anyway. We'll see how long I can go. When I came to do Keats poems, I got tired. I got tired after the first part of Endymion, and I still haven't come back for the rest. But maybe I will at some point. These first ones are from his collection of poems from 19 oh my god, 1847. Interesting that I keep slipping on the 19th versus the 20th century. The Rhodora. On being asked, whence is the flower? In May, when the sea winds pierced our solitudes, I found the fresh Rhodora in the woods, spreading its leafless blooms on a damp nook, to please the desert in the sluggish brook. The purple petals fallen in the pool made the black water their beauty gay. Here might the red bird come his plumes to cool and court the flower that cheapens his array. Rhodora, if the sages ask thee why this charm is wasted on the earth and sky, tell them, dear, that if eyes were made for seeing, then beauty is its own excuse for being. Why thou wert there, O rival of the rose, I never thought to ask, I never knew. But in my simple ignorance, suppose the selfsame power that brought me there brought you. The humble bee. Burly, dozing, humble bee, where thou art is clime for me. Let them sail for Porto Rique, far off heats through seas to seek. I will follow thee alone, thou animated torrid zone. Zigzag steerer, desert cheerer, let me chase thy wavering lines. Keep me nearer, me thy hearer, oh my god, singing over shrubs and vines. Insect lover of the sun, joy of thy dominion. Sailor of the atmosphere, swimmer through the waves of air, voyager of light and noon, Epicurean of June. Wait, I prithee, till I come within earshot of thy hum. All without is martyrdom. When the south wind in May days, with a net of shining haze, silvers the horizon wall, and with softness touching all, tints the human countenance with a color of romance, and, infusing subtle heats, turns the sod to violets, thou in sunny solitudes, rover of the underwoods, The green silence dost displace with thy mellow breezy bass. Hot midsummer's petted crone, sweet to me thy drowsy tone tells of countless sunny hours, long days and solid banks of flowers, of gulfs of sweetness without bounds, in Indian wildernesses found, of Syrian peace, immortal leisure, firmest cheer and bird-like pleasure. Aught unsavory or unclean hath my insect never seen, but violets and bilberry bells, maple sap and daffodils, green grass with green flag half-mast high, succory to match the sky, columbine with horn of honey, scented fern and argamony, clover, catchfly, adder's tongue, and briar roses dwelt among. All beside you was unknown waste. All was picture as he paced. Wiser far than human seer, yellow breeched philosopher, seeing only what is fair, slipping only what is sweet. Thou dost mock at fate and care. Leave the chaff and take the wheat. When the fierce northwestern blast cools sea and land so far and fast, thou already slumberest deep. Woe and want thou canst outsleep. Want and woe which torture us, thy sleep makes ridiculous. Oh boy. Here we go. Fable. The mountain and the squirrel had a quarrel, and the former called the latter little prig. Bun replied, "You are doubtless very big, but all sorts of things and weather must be taken in together to make up a year and a sphere, and I think it no disgrace to occupy my place. If I'm not so large as you are not so small as I, and not half so spry. I'll not deny you make a very pretty squirrel track. Talents differ, all is well and wisely put. If I cannot carry forests on my back, neither can you crack a nut." That's one of the more well-known ones. I've read that one before. I think that's the kind of one that you'll get in your high school literature class. It's a very cute one, and it's a kind of one of the one of the kind of interesting kind of semi-mystical themes in his philosophy, kind of sort of trying to merge a kind of natural based philosophy, the kind of which like that Nietzsche would take to a very brutal place, um, that you can sort of see a kind of pale, crappy shadow of, and kind of more modern evolutionary psych obsessed people. But this kind of idea that like for Emerson, it's a very everyone has a sort of unique gift, uh, that everyone and everything in the universe sort of has a place that's unique to them, and he's there's this sort of attempt to think it in a kind of beautiful way. Um, but of course, this is a sort of difficult difficult problematic notion because it has to be paired with critique, as well. So you don't sort of reify hierarchies, or sort of, I should really say, kind of brutal, oppressive hierarchies. And but anyway, it's a sort of interesting thing. It's an interesting thing. Um, Estria. Oh, oh, 1 second. Oh boy. Himself it was who wrote his rank and quartered his own coat. There is no king nor sovereign state that can fix a hero's rate. Each to all is vulnerable, kappa pi and vulnerable, until he write, where all eyes rest, slaver master on his breast. I saw men go up and down, in the country and the town, with this prayer upon their neck, judgment and a judge we seek. Not to monarchs they repair, nor to learn jurist's chair, but they hurry to their peers, to their kinsfolk and their dears. Louder than with speech they pray, what am I, companion, say? And the friend not hesitates to assign just place and mates. Answer not in word or letter, yet is understood the better to is to his friend a looking glass, reflects his figure that doth pass. Every wayfarer he meets, what himself declared repeats, what himself confessed records, sentences him in his words. The form is his own corporal form, oh my god, and his thought is the penal worm. Yet shine forever virgin minds, loved by stars and purest winds, which, o'er passion thrown sedate, have not hazarded their state, disconcert the searching spy, rendering to a curious eye the durance of a granite ledge. To those who gaze from the sea's edge, it is there for benefit. It is there for purging light. There for purifying storms, and its depths reflect all forms. It cannot parley with the mean. Pure by impure is not seen. For there's no sequestered grot, lone mountain tarn, or isle forgot. But justice, journeying in the sphere, daily stoops to harbor there. Whew. It is frustratingly warm in my room. Oh, ah. This poem compensation, I know there's an essay about this, so it's interesting. Oh god. Etienne de la Boixe, oh god. Bic. Etienne de la Bic. I serve you not if you I follow, shadow like, or here in hollow, and bend my fancy to your leading, all too nimble for my treading. When the pilgrimage is done, and weave the landscape overrun, I am bitter, vacant, thwarted, and your heart is unsupported. Vainly valiant, you have missed the manhood that I should yours resist. It's compliment, but if I could, oh my god, excuse me, in severe or cordial mood, lead you rightly to my altar, where the wisest muses falter, and worship that world-warming spark which dazzles me in midnight dark, equalizing small and large, while the soul it doth surcharge, that the poor is wealthy grown, and the hermit never alone. The traveller and the road seem one, with the errand to be done, that were a man's and lover's part, that were freedom's whitest chart. Suum Quique. The rain has spoiled the farmer's day. Shall sorrow put my books away? Thereby are 2 days lost. Nature shall mend her own affairs. I will attend my proper cares, in rain or sun or frost. Oh, that's a really nice short one. Compensation. Why should I keep holiday when other men have none? Why but because, when these are gay, I sit and mourn alone? And why, when mirth unseals all tongues, should mine alone be dumb? Ah, late I spoke to silent throngs, and now their hour is come. I don't know what pace I want to read these at. Um, that one is interesting. His essay compensation is sort of It's one way to summarize it, which sells it short and is sort of misleading and kind of gives a wrong tone impression, is that it's kind of like it's about sort of what goes around comes around, or sort of a kind of loose, vulgar, the sort of loose, vulgar way people understand karma. But like, there's basically like, well, the poem sort of gets at it better than my crappy explanation. That everything in its season. I don't know. He sort of struggles with it in the he struggles with it a bit in the essay. This kind of idea that like uh um happy days will be followed by good things will be followed by bad things, um and that like the tides of history will turn one way and then they will inevitably swing back the other, um and he sort of tries to kind of wrestle with the idea that like virtue still matters regardless of the seeming kind of stuckness of history in these cycles, and yourself in these cycles. It's very interesting. Forbearance. Hast thou named all the birds without a gun? Loved the wood rose, and left it on its stalk? At rich men's tables, eaten bread and pulse, unarmed, faced danger with the heart of trust, and loved so well a high behavior, in man or maid, that thou from speech refrained, nobility more nobly to repay? Oh, be my friend, and teach me to be thine. Burying. May be true what I had heard. Earth's a howling wilderness, truculent with fraud and force. Said I, strolling through the pastures, and along the riverside, caught among the blackberry vines, feeding on the Ethiops sweet. Pleasant fancies overtook me. I said, what influence me preferred? Elect to dreams thus beautiful. The vines replied, and didst thou deem no wisdom to our berries went? What? That one didn't quite click in my brain. Onward. Onward we go. Thine eyes still shines. Thine eyes still shine for me, though far I lonely roved the land or sea, as I behold yon evening star which yet beholds not me. This morn I climbed the misty hill and roamed the pastures through. How danced thy form before my path amidst the deep-eyed dew, when the redbird spread his sable wing and showed his side of flame, when the rosebud ripened to the rose, in both I read thy name. Oh, oh, that one's cute. Sable is a good word. Sable is a good word. Mm. Eros. The sense of the world is short, long and various the report. To love and be beloved, men and gods have not outlearned it. And how oft soe'er they've turned it, 'tis not to be improved. Loss and gain. Virtue runs before the muse and defies her skill. She is rapt and doth refuse to wait a painter's will. Star adoring, occupied, virtue cannot bend, just to please a poet's pride, to parade her splendor. The bard must be with good intent, no more his but hers, must throw away his pen and paint, kneel with worshippers. Then, perchance, a sunny ray from the heaven of fire his lost tools may overpay and better his desire. This is a significant one. This is a significant one. I like this one. I've read this one before. And the fusion of religion and art, fusion of religion and art, but not in a way where they're collapsed into one thing. It's so such a significant idea. Am I commenting on these too much? I don't know. Hamatreya. Oh boy. Minot, Lee, Willard, Hosmer, Merriam, Flint possessed the land which rendered to their toil hay, corn, roots, hemp, flax, apples, wool, and wood. Each of these landlords walked amidst his farm, saying, "'Tis mine, my children's, in my name's. How sweet the west wind sounds in my own trees! How graceful climb those shadows on my hill! I fancy these pure waters and the flags know me, as does my dog. We sympathize, and I affirm my actions smack of the soil. Where are these men, asleep beneath their grounds, in strangers fond as they, their furrows plow? Earth laughs and flowers to see her boastful boys, earth proud, proud of the earth which is not theirs, who steer the plow but cannot steer their feet clear of the grave. They added ridge to valley, brook to pond, inside for all that bounded their domain. This suits me for a pasture, that's my park. We must have clay, lime, gravel, granite ledge, and misty lowland, where to go for peat. The land as well lies fairly to the south. 'Tis good when you have crossed the sea and back to find the sit-fast acres where you left them. Ah! The hot owner sees not death, who adds him to his lands. A lump of mold the more. Hear what the earth says. Mine and yours, mine, not yours. Earth endures, stars abide, shine down in the old sea. Old are the shores, but where are the old men? I who have seen much, such have I never seen. The lawyer's deed ran sure in tale to them and to their heirs who shall succeed without fail, for evermore. Here is the land, shaggy with wood, with its old valley, mound, and flood. But the heritors fled like the flood's foam, and lawyer and the laws and the kingdom clean swept herefrom. They called me theirs, who so controlled me, yet every one wished to stay and is gone. How am I theirs if they cannot hold me, but I hold them? When I heard the earth song, I was no longer brave. My avarice cooled like lust in the chill of the grave. I want to get to the Sphinx. The Sphinx is one of my favorite ones, but I guess it's not necessary to skip ahead too much. The snowstorm, announced by all the trumpets of the sky, arrives at the snow, and, driving o'er the fields, seems nowhere to alight. The whited air hides hills and woods, the rivers and the heaven, and veils the farmhouse at the garden's end. The sled and traveler stopped, the courier's feet delayed, all friends shut out. The housemates sit among the radiant fireplace, enclosed in a tumultuous privacy of storm. Come see the north wind's masonry. Out of an unseen quarry evermore, furnished with tile, the fierce artificer curves his white bastions with projected roof. Round every windward stake or tree or door, speeding the myriad handed his wild work, so fanciful, so savage, naught cares he for number or proportion. Mockingly, on Cooper kennel he hangs Parian wreaths. A swan-like storm infests the hidden thorn, fills up the farmer's lane from wall to wall. Maugre the farmer's sigh, and at the gate a tapering turret overtops the work. And when his hours are numbered, and the world is all his own, retiring, as were he not, leaves, when the sun appears, astonished art, to mimic in slow structures, stone by stone, built in an age, the mad wind's night work, the frolic architecture of the snow. Painting and sculpture. The sinful painter drapes his goddess warm because she still is naked, being dressed. The godlike sculptor will not so deform beauty, which limbs in flesh enough invest. Okay, 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 Ralph. All right. Holidays. From fall to spring, the russet acorn, fruit beloved of maid and boy, lent itself beneath the forest to be the children's toy. Pluck it now, in vain, thou canst not. Its root has pierced yon shady mounds. Toy no longer, it has duties. It is anchored in the ground. Year by year, the rose-lipped maiden, playfellow of the young and old, was frolic sunshine, dear to all men, more dear to one than mines of gold. Whither went the lovely hoyden? Disappeared in blessed wife, servant to a wooden cradle, living in a baby's life. Still thou playest, short vacation. Fate grants each to stand aside. Now must thou be man and artist. 'Tis the turning of the tide. Okay. From the Persian of Hafiz. Butler, fetch the ruby wine, which with sudden greatness fills us. Pour for me, who in my spirit fail in courage and performance. Bring this philosophic stone, Charon's treasure, Noah's age. Haste, that by thy means I open all the doors of luck and life. Bring to me the liquid fire Zoroaster sought in dust. To Hafiz reveling, 'tis allowed to pray to matter and to fire. Bring the wine of Jamshid's glass, which glowed ere time it was in the Neant. Bring it to me, that through its force I, as Jamshid, see through the worlds. Wisely said the Kaiser Jamshid, the world's not worth a barley corn. Let flute and lyre loud lordly speak. Lees of wine outvalue crowns. Bring to me, boy, the veiled beauty, who in ill-famed houses sits. Bring her forth, my honest name, freely barter I for wine. Bring me, boy, the fire water, drinks the lion, the woods burn. Give it me, that I storm heaven, and tear the net from the arch wolf. Wine wherewith the hours teach souls of the ways of paradise. On the living coals I'll set it, and therewith my brain perfume. Bring me wine, through whose effulgence jam and chosras yielded life. Wine, that to the flute I sing, where is jam and where is couse. Bring the blessing of old times, bless the old departed shahs. Bring me wine which splendeth lordship, wine whose pureness thirsteth hearts. Bring it me, the Shah of hearts. Give me wine to wash me clean of the weather stains of cares. See the countenance of luck, whilst I dwell in spirit gardens. Wherefore stand I shackled here? Lo, this mirror shows me all. Drunk I speak of purity, beggar I of lordship speak. When Hafiz in his revel sings, shout the Thora in her sphere. Fear the changes of a day, bring wine which increases life. Since the world is all untrue, let the trumpets thee remind how the crown of Kabod vanished. Be not certain of the world, 'twill not spare to shed thy blood. Desperate of the world's affair, came I running to the wine house. Bring me wine which maketh glad, that I may steed bestride. Through the course career with Rustum, gallop to my heart's content. That I reason quite expunge, and plant banners on the worlds. Let us make our glasses kiss. Let us quench the sorrow cinders. Today let us drink together. Now and then we'll never agree. Whoso has arranged a banquet is glad mind satisfied. Scraping from the, oh my god, my eyes and my mouth, my eyes and my tongue are failing me. Scaping from the snares of dews. Woe for youth, 'tis gone in the wind. Happy he who spent it well. Bring wine that I overspring both worlds at a single leap. Stole at dawn from glowing spheres. Call to Auris in my sense. O lovely bird, delicious soul, spread thy pinions, break thy cage. Sit on the roof of 7 domes, where the spirits take their rest. In the time of Biserd Shimmer. Oh my god, how long is this poem? He's so passionate about wine. Oh my god, okay. Oh, wait, I got a message. Wait a minute. That's very funny. I have never read Nick Land, but I'm going to read Nick Land eventually. I am someone who uh I am someone who reads philosophy and who is interested in Nick Land. I have read uh I have read Anti-Oedipus and some of Thousand Plateaus. So, I got the background. I got the background that Land's really building out of. And I was actually just talking earlier about the kind of descent structure of Oh, you're still around, Pizza Dog. I was talking at the beginning of the stream about the sort of descent structure of oh my god. Wait. How how why part of Emerson is relevant, because Emerson is sort of at the stream of a bunch of different kind of historical movements that are all kind of still sort of relevant through their descendants. Um, but he sort of combines them in a very particular way where he's attempting to synthesize them, but not by collapsing them, which is usually what's done, like collapsing the kind of the religion, the art, the philosophy, um, into collapsing them all into one thing. Uh, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've actually read Anti-Oedipus was like a huge deal for me. It was the thing that sort of got me into philosophy. I'm probably going to read it again soon here. Um, I only read the first like 3 or 4 plateaus of Thousand Plateaus, and I don't have the book anymore because it was a friend's of mine. But I gotta go back and get to it eventually. I'm working my way through a lot of kind of a lot of other text, but I'll get back to it. Very 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 influential to how I think about things and what I do, and it's why I am it's why I'm a VTuber talking about philosophy and reading Emerson poems. And if you go check out my website, you will notice that I have a bunch of projects that are kind of interconnected in a sort of rhizomic way. But anyway, that's just a sort of surface level part of it. There's a lot more to how it impacts what I'm doing. And but yeah, thank y'all for coming to the stream. Thank you for hanging out. We're not done yet. I guess I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna whew. I'm gonna drink a little water, let my voice reset before we continue. I gotta finish this wine poem. Is so long. He's so passionate about wine. He's so passionate about wine. Oh my god. Um, and it's okay. I mean, most philosophies talk online in general. A lot of it is very. It's kind of it's very difficult to read. It's difficult to read nowadays. Like it's hard. Just reading is hard. Philosophy is hard. Anti-Oedipus, whatever. Capitalism and schizophrenia is sort of annoyingly written. I heard it said, you know, basically, Guattari does not know how to make himself understood, and Deleuze does not want to be understood. You know, I read someone said this. A person who a kind of contemporary theorist who I followed said that, and I think it's a pretty good sentiment. Um, Maxwell Foley, also known as Reality Spammer, his book Anti Singularity, very good, very very good book. Um, he has a kind of series on his website where he's sort of trying to he grapples with Deleuze and Guattari a lot. Um, I have Guattari's. I said I was supposed to be resting my voice, and now I'm just talking about. I read a Chaosmosis, Guattari's like late book from like 2000, short book Chaosmosis. Um, very confusing, very difficult, very confusing text. I did not absorb a lot from it. I went through it slowly and still did not absorb a lot from it. There was this function that he described that he called like there was like ontological smoothing or something like this was one of the few concepts that stuck with me, except I I think I understood it in a different way than he meant it, but it still ended up being a useful concept for me anyway. It's sort of um excuse me. It's basically it has something to do with it's sort of like reterritorialization, but it's not exactly that, but it's kind of a way that like uh something that exists will get ground down into a shape that's sort of useful for the environment that it's in. Like you know, if I put too much of my myself into my YouTube, I would become shaped into a streamer or a YouTuber instead of being independently myself. I would become molded to the form that's there. Um, there are these sort of kind of like niches in like cultural technological spaces that things that present themselves get sort of molded into, and it's like ontological smoothing. He uses an example of a key, but I don't really remember what he said. I don't really remember it. This is just I don't know why I'm talking about this. Well, I hope your plum wine is good, pizza dog. Um. Oh, okay. I need more water. I need more water. Okay, I need more water. Yeah, we'll be back in like 2 seconds. Okay. All right. Let's let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. I guess I started this. I started the wine poem. I gotta finish the wine poem. Yeah, we'll do the. We'll finish the wine poem. Then I will go read the Sphinx. Uh, and then the World Soul, and then we'll figure out if I have the voice left to read more than to read more than those. But well, you know what? I'm glad. I want my stream to be. Well, I want it to be good. But thank you, Pizza Dog. All right. Oh God. Okay. Menet Sheher's beauty shines on the beaker of Nush Irvan. Wrote they once in elder times, hear the counsel, learn from us, sample of the course of things, the earth. It is a place of sorrow. Scanty joys are here below. Who has nothing has no sorrow. Where is Jam? And where his cup? Solomon and his mirror, where? Which of the wise masters knows what time Caus and Jam existed? When those heroes left this world, left they nothing but their names. Bind thy heart, not come to the earth. When thou goest, come not back. Fools squander on the world their hearts. League with it is feud with heaven. Never gives it what thou wishest. A cup of wine imparts the sight of 5 heaven domes with 9 steps. Whoso can himself renounce, without support shall walk thereon. Who discreet it is not wise. Who Who discreet is not wise. Give me, boy, the Kaiser cup, which rejoices heart and soul. Under wine and under cup signify we purest love. Youth like lightning disappears. Life goes by us as the wind. Leave the dwelling with 6 doors, and the serpent with 9 heads. Life and silver spend thou freely, if thou honorest the soul. Haste into the other life. All is vain save God alone. Give me, boy, this toy of Damon's. When the cup of jam was lost, him availed the world no more. Oh my god, I keep having. Excuse me. Good lord. Goodness. Okay. When the cup of jam was lost, him availed the world no more. Fetch the wine glass made of ice. Wake the torpid heat with wine. Every clod of loam beneath us is a skull of Alexander. Oceans are the blood of princes. Desert sands, the dust of beauties. More than one Darius was there, who the whole world overcame. But, since these gave up the ghost, thinkest thou they never were? Boy, go from me to the Shah. Say to him, Shah, crowned as jam, win thou first the poor man's heart, then the glass. So know the world. Empty sorrows from the each canst thou drive away with wine. Now in thy throne's recent beauty, in the flowing tide of power, moon of fortune, mighty king, whose tiara sheddeth luster, peace secure to fish and fowl, heart and eye sparkle to saints. Shoreless is the sea of praise. I content me with a prayer from Nisami's lyric page. Fairest ornament of speech, here a verse will I recite. Verse more beautiful than pearls. More kingdoms wait thy diadem than are known to thee by name. Thee may sovereign destiny lead to victory day by day. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I like the Sphinx. It's a good poem. The Sphinx is drowsy. Her wings are furled. Her ear is heavy. She broods on the world. Who'll tell me my secret? The ages have kept. I awaited the seer while they slumbered and slept. The fate of the man-child, the meaning of man, known fruit of the unknown, the Daedalin plan. Out of sleeping, awaking, out of waking, asleep. Life, death overtaking, deep underneath deep. Erect as a sunbeam, upspringeth the palm. The elephant browses, undaunted and calm. In beautiful motion the thrush plies his wings. Kind leaves of his covert, his silence he sings. The waves unashamed, indifferent, sweet, play glad with the breezes, old playfellows meet. The journeying atoms, primordial wholes, firmly drive by their animate poles. Sea, earth, air, sound, silence, plant, quadruped, bird, by one music enchanted, one deity stirred. Each the other adorning, a company still. Night veileth the morning, the vapor, the hill. The babe by its mother lies bathed in joy. Glide its hours uncounted. The sun is its toy. Shines the peace of all being, without cloud in its eyes. In the sum of the world, in soft miniature lies. But man crouches and blushes, absconds and conceals. He creepeth and peepeth, he palters and steals. Infirm, melancholy, jealous, glancing around. An oaf and accomplished, he poisons the ground. Outspoke the great mother, beholding his fear. At the sound of her accents, cold shuddered the sphere. Who has drugged my boy's cup? Who has mixed my boy's bread? Who with sadness and madness has turned the man-child's head? I heard a poet answer, aloud and cheerfully, Say on, sweet Sphinx, thy dirges are pleasant songs to me. Deep love lieth under these pictures of time. They fade in the light of their meaning sublime. The fiend that man harries is love of the best. Yawns the pit of the dragon, lit by rays from the blessed. The lathe of nature can't trace him again, whose soul sees the perfect, which his eyes seek in vain. Profounder, profounder man's spirit must dive to his eye-rolling orbit, oh my god, to his eye-rolling orbit, no goal will arrive. The heavens that now draw him with sweetness untold, once found for new heavens, he spurneth the old. Pride ruined the angels, their shame them restores, and the joy that is sweetest lurks in stings of remorse. Have I a lover who is noble and free? I would he were nobler than to love me. Eternal alternation now follows, now flies, and under pain, pleasure, under pleasure, pain lies. Love works at the center, heart heaving alway. Forth speed the strong pulses to the borders of the day. Dull Sphinx, Jove keep thy 5 wits. Thy sight is growing blear. Rue, myrrh, and cumin for the Sphinx, her muddy eyes to clear. The old Sphinx bit her thick lip, said, Who taught thee me to name? I am thy spirit, yoke fellow. Of thine eye I am eye-beam. Thou art the unanswered question. Couldst see thy proper eye, alway it asketh, and each answer is a lie. So take thy quest through nature, it through 1,000 natures ply. Ask on, thou clothed eternity. Time is the false reply. Up rose the merry Sphinx, and crouched no more in stone. She melted into purple cloud. She silvered in the moon. She spired in a yellow flame. She flowered in blossoms red. She flowed into a foaming wave. She stood Monadnock's head. Through 1,000 voices spoke the universal dame. Who telleth one of my meanings is master of all I am. Cool. Cool. Oh god. Okay. Oh, I'm losing it. My eyes get so tired. My eyes get so tired because I got the text over here at a size that's probably too small, and I should have made it bigger. And my voice is tired because I've been going for a while. I don't even know how long I've been going, so it's been a bit. What does it say? Oh my god, have I really been going for an hour and a half? That's so. Oh no, wait, that includes the pre-time. That includes the pre-time, so probably just about an hour. Oh, okay. Let's read the World Soul. No, I need to drink some water and then we'll read the World Soul. Can I get it a little bit bigger? Make it easier on my eyeballs. Thanks to the morning light. Thanks to the foaming sea. To the uplands of New Hampshire. To the green-haired forest free. Thanks to each man of courage. To the maids of holy mind. To the boy with his games undaunted, who never looks behind. Cities of proud hotels. Houses of rich and great. Vice nestles in your chambers, beneath your roofs of slate. It cannot conquer folly, time and space conquering steam, and the light outspeedeth telegram, bears nothing on its beam. The politics are base, the letters do not cheer, and 'tis far in the deeps of history, the voice that speaketh clear. Trade and the streets ensnare us, our bodies are weak and worn. We plot and corrupt each other, and we despoil the unborn. Yet there in the parlor sits some figure of noble guise, our angel in a stranger's form, or woman's pleading eyes, or only a flashing sunbeam in the window pane, or music pours on mortals its beautiful, beautiful disdain. The inevitable morning finds them who in cellars be, and be sure the all-loving nature will smile in a factory. Yon ridge of purple landscape, yon sky between the walls, hold all the hidden wonders in scanty intervals. Alas, the sprite that haunts us deceives our rash desire. It whispers of the glorious gods and leaves us in the mire. We cannot learn the cipher that's writ upon our cell. Stars help us by a mystery which we could never spell. If but one hero knew it, the world would blush and flame. The sage, till he hit the secret, would hang his head for shame. But our brothers have not read it. Not one has found the key. And henceforth we are comforted. We are but such as they. Still, still the secret passes. The nearing clouds draw down the crimson morning flames into the fopperies of the town. Within, without, the idle earth, stars weave the eternal rings. The sun himself shines heartily and shares the joy he brings. And what if trade sow cities, like shells along the shore, and thatch with towns the ferry broad, with railways ironed o'er? But they are but sailing foam bells, along thought's causing stream, and take their shape in sun color from him that sends the dream. For destiny does not like to yield to men the helm, and shoots his thought by hidden nerves throughout the solid realm. The patient demon sits with roses in a shroud. He has his way and deals his gifts, but ours is not allowed. He is no churl nor trifler, and his viceroy is none. Love without weakness, of genius, sire, and son. And his will is not thwarted. The seeds of land and sea are the atoms of his body bright, and his behest obey. He serveth the servant, the brave he loves amain. He kills the cripple and the sick, and straight begains again. For gods delight in gods, and thrust the weak aside. To him who scorns their charities, their arms fly open wide. When the old world is sterile, and the ages are effete, he will from wrecks and sentiment the fairer world complete. He forbids to despair, his cheeks mantle with mirth, and the unimagined good of men is yearning at the birth. Spring still makes spring in the mind when 60 years are told. Love wakes anew this throbbing heart, and we are never old. Over the winter glaciers, I see the summer glow, and through the wild piled snowdrift, the warm rosebuds below. Oh, wow. Such a silly reaction. Wow, I say. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, God. Okay, do I have any more in me? I'm not really sure I do. Well, look at these names in the next collection. Look at these names. Brahma, Fate, Freedom. Nature 1, Nature 2, My Garden, The Titmouse, Days, Seashore, Waldines Kite. Waldines Kite. The Past. Another poem called Compensation. Heroism, politics, beauty, friendship, art, spiritual laws. It's so many of these are one. So many of these have a complement of an essay that he wrote, which is it's so good. It's so he's got a series of quatrains. Oh, that's so sick. Let's read some of these just because they're. He's got two. He has phrases he likes to come back to. There's another one called Suum Quique. Oh God. Oh God. Okay, here we go. Let's read a couple of these just because I can. SH. With beams December planets dart, his cold eye truth and conduct scanned. July was in his sunny heart, October in his liberal hand. A.H. High was her head, and yet was well inclined, her manners made of bounty well refined. Far capitals and marble courts, her eyes still seemed to see, minstrels and kings and high-born dames, and of the best that be. Oh God. Okay. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. I'm done. That's all I got in me. That's all I got in me. Oh boy. Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's the guy. He's a guy. He's one of the guys of all time. Uh. Well. Alrighty, Dighty. It was a nice little time. Uh. I'll see y'all. The next time I stream, whenever that is. Hopefully, the gap between this one and the next one will be a shorter one. I've been planning to stream more, but I'm always working on like 5 different projects at once.